You're listening to Let's Talk Sports podcast with me, Lucia. NFL, NBA news, and more coming to you right now. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Let's Talk Sports podcast with me, Lucia. So, a quick rundown for today's episode. Got last week's storylines, this week in sports history, the IL report, games in review, and NFL Week 2 predictions. So, last week's storylines. The Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott is injured and out for several weeks with a thumb injury, with a fractured thumb. They say 6 to 8, although for some reason they're not putting him on the IR, on the injury report, on the IL list. I think they should. They should put him on the injury report. That's just one of those stupid things that the Cowboys do. I'm actually worried about Dak in terms of his playing career. I don't know how long it's going to last for. Just because he seems to be very injury prone. So I think that he needs to start and they're sort of freak injuries, however, he's injury prone. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but all the freak injuries decided to come all at once for Dak. So yeah, as a Giants fan, quite happy. We play them in week 3. So yeah, quite happy about that. But they didn't look any good with Dak on the field. I don't know, there's just something about the Cowboys this year that just doesn't feel right. Anyway, getting on to next storyline. Lamar Jackson did not get his deal done. And is he going to go to a new team next year? This is a sixth sense I've had about Lamar. I don't think he's happy in Baltimore. There's just something about that whole situation. John Harbaugh has done nothing to tell me otherwise, that he's not the guy. I just don't think he's happy. And I've got no reason to believe that he's not happy. That he's not happy. Yeah, it's this weird sixth sense I feel. I feel like we're going to hear more throughout the season about Lamar Jackson's contract and Lamar Jackson's happiness in Baltimore. I have this feeling. So yeah, watch this space for that one. I don't know whether I'm just trying to manifest the idea of Lamar Jackson going to the Giants, but yeah, I'm manifesting that. And now, another topic. Did Trey Lance do enough to make the 49ers think that their decision was right? I think not. I think we've started the countdown for Jimmy G's return. There are a lot of people that are going to be clamoring for Jimmy G to be returned to the starter, including in the locker room. He is still the team captain. That's Trey Lance is not the captain. Jimmy G is still the captain of the 49ers. So it's a weird thing. Yeah, so I seriously don't think although nobody looked good in that game, but I think Trey Lance looked the worst. Yeah, and in two people that had an amazing connection and are amazing at everything, Tom Brady and Julio Jones have an amazing connection. And I'm so glad they're on the same team because they can start just throwing the ball and just having fun. And that's what I think Tom Brady wants this year, is fun. Because I do think this is last year. With everything going on in his personal life, I think that this is really his last year. And in talking about Tom, his old team, the Pats, is the dynasty and are the Patriots' law over? That's something that I've been thinking about in my head, is the whole Bill Belichick's the greatest coach thing wearing out? And is Bill Belichick going to retire at the end of the year? There is something about this year that feels like it's Bill's swan song for the end. I just feel like it is. I feel like he's been doing a lot more stuff that's been like, yeah, I'm done. I don't want to coach this team anymore. I want to be out. I'll give it to my son. He can coach it. Yeah. I think that the Pats are officially done in terms of their dominance. They'll still beat the Jets, because anyone can beat the Jets, especially after last week's performance. But yeah, the Pats are officially done. Aaron Rodgers looked disappointing in his team's loss to the Vikings. Aaron is sort of like the pretty girl at the prom, or the formal, that needs to be told that she is pretty and she's good every single day. I think that his game is amazing. I think he's going to miss Davante Adams this year. I seriously do. I think that he's going to absolutely miss him, and miss their connection, and miss their going back and forth. I think he's going to be sitting in his room late at night being like, I would like Davante back. I'd like Davante back. Yeah, so I think that's something that Aaron Rodgers is going to go through this year. And in a quarterback that played his former team this week, Russ was not allowed to cook again. Who is going to let Russ cook? Just give him the ball. He's an amazing quarterback. Why don't people want to just give him the ball and let him do his thing? Why take the ball out of his hands? Why? I just have so many questions. I don't know whether it's because I've got a love affair with Russ that I don't think a lot of other people do, but I have a love affair with him. I think that he's an amazing human being first, and a great quarterback second. But yeah, I just let him go. You paid him enough. Just let him go. And now, in this week in sports history, in 2017, the International Olympic Committee announced that Paris in 2024 and Los Angeles in 2028 will host Olympic Games. They're coming up pretty quickly. Yeah, they're coming out pretty quickly. I hope to be living in America by 2028. I really do. So now getting into the IL report. TJ Watt has a torn pectoral injury, and it does not need surgery, so we don't know how long he's going to be out. I think a couple of weeks, but he could potentially play next week. Jamal Adams has been carted off the field in the Seahawks game. No word yet on what the injury was, but he was carted off the field. Mac Jones, quarterback for the Pats, has back spasms, and was on and off the field the entire day. Chris Godwin strains his hamstring in the game against the Cowboys, and George Kittle has an injured groin. So that's your IL report for this week. Next week I'll be doing another one with more injuries, because you know it's injury focused. So now let's get into the games of review. So I have picked 3 games that I think that I looked at, watched closely and intensely, and have got some thoughts and views on them. So I've got the Bills, the season opener, the Rams versus the Bills. Holy crap, the Bills are good. They're going to be awesome this year. They're like a cheat code. Josh Allen is a cheat code. He's literally like a quarterback that has everything going for him. And I don't understand why he hasn't been MVP. This could be his year. And this is definitely the Bills' year. Definitely the Bills' year. The Bills' offense is so explosive. The defense struggled a little bit, but oh my god, is it explosive. The only defensive player on that was doing stuff was Von Miller. But oh my god, this team is just going to be like a freight train. Matthew Stafford's arm is clearly not fixed. He was going to a lot of pitching specialists, so baseball pitching specialists, for his arm, but it's clearly not the same that it was. And Jalen Ramsey is clearly not the same lockdown corner that he used to be. I think that he's about done being that lockdown corner, because if your opposition is always throwing in your direction, you are no longer seen as a threat. And he got burnt so many times on so many out routes and so many routes that I was like Jalen's no longer Jalen Ramsey. And the Rams actually might not run away with this division. Yeah, I thought early on that the Rams were just going to be the outright favourites, but I don't think they're going to run away with it at all. Yeah, which is going to be good. It's going to make the NFC West actually interesting. So yeah, that's my review of the Rams versus Bills. Now I'm going to move on to my G-Men versus the Titans. Daboll has some balls. Oh my god, I was so happy, excited, ecstatic, every other word that you've got under the sun for how my G-Men played. I was so happy with the result and how it all came to fruition. Yeah, and Brian Daboll, I've got to stand up and applaud him. He's got some balls. Saquon Barkley is all the way back, and it's just going to make this year so much more exciting for me. The defense is good. DJ is not as good, but he was passable. He was solid. Gave a solid performance. He threw a horrendous interception, but then afterwards did an amazing comeback drive to win, to give the game-winning touchdown, and then with the 2-point conversion to Saquon. It just felt good. It felt good to get a win. And on the Titans side, the Titans are going to struggle when Derrick Henry is taken out of the game. And that's what the Giants defense did. They took Derrick Henry out of the game. So when Derrick Henry is taken out and leaving Ryan Tannehill to do everything, it's not going to be good. And I think we are on the countdown, and on the countdown to Malik Willis starting for the Titans. I think that this is Ryan Hill's last year being a starter. And after that game, it made me realize it even more. And the Titans' offensive play caller needs to get his act in the game. Also, Mike Vrabel needs to get his time management in the game. There were so many opportunities to take timeouts when there wasn't, and I'm glad as a Giants fan, but Titans fans need to be worried about the time management skills of their coach. So yeah, that is the Titans versus the Giants, with my G-Men winning. So yeah, I was so excited. So excited. I think I lost my voice that game. I was so excited and I'm shaking. It just put me in a very good mood all week. Very good mood. The Bucs versus the Cowboys. The Cowboys struggled even with Dak on the field, as I said earlier. The Cowboys' O-line is a shambles. Zeke isn't Zeke anymore. The Cowboys desperately needed Amari Cooper, and yet they traded him away for a 5th round pick, which still boggles my mind that Amari Cooper went for that low. But yeah, the Cowboys just weren't the Cowboys. They weren't tough, they weren't strong, they played with no heart. I don't know who the bloody hell is coaching them, because Mike McCarthy clearly can't coach out of a paper bag. And yeah, it sucked. The Cowboys just sucked. And on the Bucs side, Tom Brady, still good. 45, still good. Still nice. Still an amazing passer. Still, every time he gets the ball, I'm like, you're passing. You're so good. The Bucs O-line needs a little bit of work. Need to give Tom just a little more of a chance, just to think a little bit. But the Bucs defense is still so good, and the Bucs are going to be so good. Once their O-line gets a little bit healthy, it's going to be fantastic. They're going to be great. Which is going to be good for the league. It is good for the league. When Tom Brady is good, it's good for the league. So, these are my NFL Week 2 predictions. So, we've got the Chiefs versus the Chargers. I'm actually going to go with the Chargers. I think that this game is going to be explosive. It's going to be an offensive-minded game. I just think that the Chargers are the superior team out of the two. We have the Steelers versus the Pats. I am going with the Steelers because I don't think the Pats are going to be any good. We've got the Giants versus the Panthers. I am actually going to go with the... Look, I want to say Giants so badly, but Saquon went on the Manning cast. So I'm just going to say Panthers, even though I want the Giants. I'm going to say Panthers. Then we've got the Browns versus the Jets. I'm going with the Browns because who the hell would pick the Jets? We've got the Jags versus the Colts, and it's in Jacksonville, so I'm going to go with the Jags because the Colts can't beat the Jags. We've got the Ravens versus the Dolphins. I'm going with the Ravens. We've got the Saints versus the Bucs. I'm going with the Bucs because I think that it's about time that Tom Brady wins a game against the Saints. We've got the Lions versus the Commanders. I am going with the Lions. I think the Lions are a better team. We've got the 49ers versus Seahawks. I am going with the 49ers. We've got the Rams versus the Falcons. I am going with the Rams. We've got the Raiders versus the Cardinals. I'm going with the Raiders. We've got the Broncos versus the Texans. I am going with the Broncos. Cowboys versus Bengals. I'm going with the Bengals. We've got the Packers versus the Bears. I'm actually going to go with the Bears. I know, sacrilegious, but I'm going to go with the Bears. We've got the Bills versus the Titans. I'm going with the Bills. And we've got the Vikings versus the Eagles. I am going with the Eagles because I think that they're good, that they're a really good team this year, which makes me feel sick. So that is all for this week's episode of Let's Talk Sports Podcast with me, Lucia. So I'll catch you all next week. Bye.